Next, on the This Old House Hour, as demolition starts on our project, we sort out the big business of job site waste recycling.
Well, good morning. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to This Old House here in Newton, Massachusetts, where we are helping a young family of 4, which actually live just around the corner from here. We're helping them with a new house they bought, an 1897 shingle style, and this is it right here. Now, it looks pretty good from the outside, but that doesn't mean we don't have a lot of work to do. We do, and a lot of it's going to be going on the first floor inside in the kitchen. You may recall that last week our architect was here and he was telling us about the plan for the kitchen, which includes a general expansion, adding a mudroom, as well as connecting that kitchen to the backyard for the very first time. Tom and his guys are also going to be working upstairs, where they're going to take the existing master bedroom and expand it, reclaiming an old sleeping porch to add some space. And all of that work starts today with demolition. Looks like our dumpsters just showed up in time too. All of the demolition from the house today, as well as all of the waste from this house throughout the project, is going into a dumpster just like this. But instead of taking it right to a landfill, it is going to go to a special processing facility, the likes of which you have probably never seen before. We're going to show you all of that and more when we come back.
Well, things are really moving along here in the kitchen. The countertops are gone, the base cabinets have been removed, and the appliances are leaving. Now, we had 3 ceilings in this kitchen. Turns out we had 3 floors, and the top layer was this material. It's a synthetic material. It just snapped together when it was installed, no nails, so it was very easy to take apart. And it's actually in pretty good shape. So we're going to send this flooring and some appliances to a non-profit organization. And it's an interesting story. They will redistribute those items to low-income families who are doing their own renovation projects. Now the cabinets, that's a different story. We couldn't give these away, so we just ripped them out and we're throwing them in the dumpster. But I'm happy to say that the dumpster is not going to a landfill. It's going to a state-of-the-art recycling center that Kevin visited just the other day.
So the construction and the demolition waste, or what you guys call C&D, how much of that comes into this facility every day?
250 tons.
Quite a bit. And of that 250 tons, what percent do you think gets recycled or reused?
75% of that is pulled out of the waste stream.
All right, so it looks like it starts here, your typical dumpster from a job site?
That's correct. This is just a typical load coming in off a construction site.
That's all sorts of things in here, and obviously being dumped here into a big pile. What's the process?
Well, first of all, most of the material that you see here is going into the system. The system's very automated and will handle that as it is. But there is a pre-sort, and it's a stage that we do a couple of different things.
Such as?
Well, one is we need to take the material that we want, such as wood, and break it to a size that feeds into the machine. The other thing we want to do is pull out any of the stringy or bulky materials, such as plastic or a pouch.
So those are things you don't want going into the automated machine?
That's correct. The next step, it goes from here onto the conveyor and into the system.
Let's have a look. So the second step starts here with this excavator, picking it out of the pile and dropping it onto a conveyor belt?
That's correct. This conveyor carries the material up into our trommel.
Trommel, that's that big spinning drum up there?
Yeah, that's a series of screens that sort the material.
So I can see the conveyor belt at the far end feeding the trommel. I guess the small stuff goes through that first screen. And then these larger holes here, that's the second screen?
That's correct, Kevin. That's a 12-inch screen.
And what happens to the material that doesn't go through the 12-inch screen?
That carries through the trommel onto another conveyor belt and into the main picking belt.
And the smaller material that does go through the 12-inch screen?
That carries out into an air system, then into a water system where it's further separated.
So you've got yourself another station where you actually use water to separate the trash.
That's correct. What comes in on the conveyor belt drops into the water, and what floats carries across onto this conveyor belt.
So we've got some of the obvious stuff. We've got wood, there's some random plastic that's gotten in there, someone's book. What happens to this stuff that doesn't float?
Everything else sinks through the water and onto a conveyor belt, which is carried up to this point.
And so in here I can see that we've got some asphalt, looks like some concrete there, some metal pieces. Where is this going?
The next step here is it's going to a magnet where all the ferrous metals are pulled off, then into the cabin where it's all hand sorted.
So this is the labor-intensive part, where everything's picked by hand.
Yes, it is. This is where everything ends up that didn't go through the screens of the trommel.
So this is all of the big debris, and I can see these guys are actually grabbing it, and it goes into various bins. You've got one here for wood, one for metal. How about everything that went through the water sorting bath?
That ends up on this picking station over here. This is the results of the floatables.
So this is all the wooden stuff, and what are they picking off?
And they're picking off some of the contaminants such as plastic and paper.
And then every once in a while I can see he's throwing the wood into another bin here labeled wood. And the stuff that didn't float, is that what's coming in on the far conveyor belt?
That's what's coming in over there and then being hand-picked.
And so this is where it ends up, sorted in all these separate bins.
Sure does. As you can see, it's a pretty clean product we have here. The wood is used as fuel and is burned to create electricity.
How about the metal?
That's going to go to a local scrap yard, be melted down, and reused as steel.
I bet you that's pretty valuable. How about the plastic?
The plastics we bale here on site, and that is shipped to China and made into different things like toys and lumber and things of that sort.
And what about the corrugated cardboard here?
Corrugated we bale here on site as well, and that's reused as corrugated boxes.
Well, I have to say, this is probably the most sophisticated facility I've ever been to.
It's certainly one of the most automated systems in the country.
So do you think this is the wave of the future?
I sure do. Certainly here in Massachusetts with the wastebands, but also throughout the country. It's really the thing to do.
All right, well, thank you for showing us around. It's been great.
Thank you.